Alright, I'm setting myself up for a challenge to get every Far Cry Platinum trophy in the series. The only limitations and accomplishments that I will start with are these. I won't be doing Far Cry 1 because I don't want to buy it for like the 6th time and there aren't any PS3 disc versions for it, so I'm not going to bother looking.
No! No! No!
I'm also not doing Far Cry 2, not because it is on PS3 like the first one, but for some really obvious reasons. When I started editing this video, I had completed Far Cry 3, which you can see on my YouTube channel after this video. Totally recommend it. I also have done Far Cry Primal, except the only issue with that game is that I can't find the footage anywhere. All you have to do is believe me. I might redo the entire Platinum on livestream when I hit a subscriber milestone, but I don't know. I'll leave that guys up to you. Let me know in the comments. With that said, the only games that I have left are Far Cry 4, Blood Dragon, New Dawn, 5, and 6. In today's video, I'm going to make that list one game shorter by completing New Dawn. Aside from seeing the iffy reviews about the game before I played it, I went ahead and played it, because it's still a Far Cry game nonetheless. The trophy list for this game isn't too bad, coming in at a 3 out of 10 difficulty with no multiple playthroughs and about 20 hours to complete. This guide has a standard number of trophies for a Far Cry game at 51 trophies. I completed it in about 35 hours, if I can remember correctly, and I did it over 2 months. With that being said, let's get right into the video. Upon starting New Dawn, we learn that the world has collapsed from a fallout explosion. The people living there think they have to hide away from the surface until they emerge and try to rebuild their lives. They think, oh, it's so great up here, let's rebuild our lives, and oh shoot, here comes the bad guys. I don't know if they had to add the same guys from January 6th into this game, but what can I do about it? With knowledge of bad guys in the area, we are sent to go out and wipe them out to save Prosperity and the ones alive. And that begins the start of our journey. After going through a miniature battle on a bridge, we made it back to Prosperity and I got my first trophy of the game. After exploring the island a little more, I learned that there are multiple different specialists that you can recruit for your home base around the map, and you do so by accepting and completing their side quests. Upon completing one of the specialist side quests, I earned another trophy, as well as bringing them back to home base. The next trophy was also for completing another specialist side quest and bringing them back to home base. Around the game, and like every other Far Cry game, there are a plethora of enemy outposts that you have to overtake, and in New Dawn, there were a total of 10 around the map. With all of them, you can choose to scavenge them, which restarts them to get more materials for the game, and they become progressively harder the more that you redo them. There is a trophy for completing all of them and several others that are tied to them, but I got one simply just for liberating one and re-scavenging it successfully. Because I didn't know what I was doing, I kept re-scavenging a single outpost so much with an online friend that I got stuck doing it because the enemies were way above my skill level. I feel incredibly stupid already.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
I sometimes divulge into some random movie phases, so don't get too mad at me when I edit them in. Attack me in the comments, I don't give a shit. Anyways, I got lucky and managed to take out Enforcer, which aside from bosses are the strongest enemies in the game, and I got a trophy for taking one out. Since Prosperity is where you can get all of your upgrades for the late game, there are a total of 8 different facilities that all have different uses and bonuses as you upgrade them. Although there is a trophy tied to unlocking and upgrading all of them, I earned a trophy simply for upgrading any of them for a single time. All of the next achievements were simple. The first one was for crafting 3 new weapons at any workbench, and crafting 10 medical kits from anywhere on the island. In New Dawn, there are expeditions that you can do to receive more crafting materials, and you can also re-scavenge them, which makes the enemy significantly stronger and gives you more materials. There's also a variety of achievements that are tied to the concept of expeditions, but those will come later, and I got one for completing one of them for the first time. I also managed to rescue and rehabilitate another specialist, pick 15 plants, and rehabilitate another specialist before going on and taking over a highwayman's supply drop. The next trophy was kind of random because it popped up randomly for completing the first part of the game. The story writing for this game was kind of bad, so I didn't pay attention to any of the story because it felt like a spin-off. Anyways, it was a free trophy, so I'm not going to complain. After getting to the second part of the game, I unlocked the ability to lockpick, so I used it to open 5 safes. I eventually grew tired of searching the place for safes, so I began exploring the hunting aspect of this game. There are a couple of trophies that are also tied to this mechanic, so I decided to go for the trophy where I had to hunt down a monstrous animal, which means it's twice as strong as a regular one. This wasn't hard at all, but I will need to hunt all of them for the trophy Master Skinner, where I need to skin one of every animal in the game. That is in the late game though, so I decided to work on completing a few treasure hunt missions. I don't fully understand what treasure hunt missions do or give your player, but they are kind of calming when it comes to how hard the game becomes later on. That feeling wouldn't last for much longer. The next trophy was for completing a total of 3 expeditions while in co-op. Now I love doing this with my friend, but holy shit, this was painful to do, and it took us like 3 hours to do it. It was mostly because we were messing around a whole bunch, but after we did it, I don't ever want to have to touch expeditions again. The next few trophies were a big downgrade in difficulty, the first of which starts with Poof.
It's gone.
All this trophy required was throwing 3 smoke grenades in total throughout my playthrough. If you get enough parts and ethanol, I'm guessing that's some type of Canadian gas or something. If you gain enough parts and ethanol, you can have the ability to upgrade weapon workbenches so you can craft better weapons, and I got a trophy for crafting my first max rank weapon. The next few trophies weren't hard, but they all required the use of enemies. The first one was for hitting an enemy from 100 meters away. I did that with the legendary bow that I previously got. The next one was for hitting an enforcer in the head with piercing ammo. Another one for finishing off an enforcer with the bayonet on the end of a weapon. I got another one for breaking an enemy's helmet after hitting them in the head with a blunt object. And getting a total of 25 enemy kills with a knife. I also decided to go for an easy glitch trophy where I needed to get airtime in a wingless plane that one of the specialists give you for free. Throw some dynamite in front of it, drive over it, and fly. In New Dong, among the many other mechanics, you can also rescue animals and humans and have them be your sidekick with the Guns for Hire feature. The only trophies that are tied to the Guns for Hire mechanic are the ones that involve the animals, and I got one of them out of the way for saving a boar named Horatio. If you ask me, I only used this feature so that I could get the respective trophies, and that was it.
Bargain for when you buy your chunk of the American dream.
And then your dream becomes a nightmare.
Next, I managed to get all of the facility max upgrades in Prosperity, so that gave me another trophy. I'm not sure why I didn't do this sooner, but after I got the first specialist, the one from the earlier trophies, I unlocked scouts that are found at multiple outposts around the map, and they tell you where other outposts or supply drops are located. I wandered around and talked to 10 of them to find the last few outposts, and I got a trophy for doing so. This one was quite funny, as I just had to hit 5 enemies with a shield, simple as that, but come on. I also unlocked the Guns for Hire dog, and I had to drive around in a car with him for a total of 5 minutes throughout the game. I then went on for another hunting trophy where I had to catch every fish in the game. This wasn't hard at all, and all I had to do was road trip around the island to find the correct spots.
Never catch anything with this. It's useless.
I also got a trophy for maxing out all the tiers for a single perk. Perks are the same thing as skills in other Far Cry games, and there are also a few trophies that are tied to them. Inside one of the expeditions called Government Plane, there is a secret clothing item that you can find, and you can get a trophy once you collect it from this point on. I hope I don't have to do another expedition. I'm going to mark this point in the video as a speedrun round for some fun. Can we get a music change? One of the unique weapons that New Dong brings to the table is something called a saw launcher, which unironically shoots saw blades at your victims, and I got a trophy for hitting 10 different brawler enemies with the weapon. Aside from getting a random story trophy for bringing the main dude from Far Cry 5 back to the island, yes, it's the same guy.
Oh, hell no.
I got a trophy for getting a takedown while using the Leap of Faith perk. And I also managed to survive a 30-meter fall with the same perk. Along the way of trying to get all of the perks for an achievement, I also got a lot of the collectible trophies done. I got all of the past photographs of Hope County done. I found all of the music and MP3s hiding around the map. And I also unlocked all of the gun for higher characters before I got enough perk points to unlock all of them. I unlocked another perk-related trophy, which is the last one, where I had to use Wraith to kill 10 enemies in one use. At this point of the video, I was kind of getting tired of the main story, so I went ahead and finished it off by ending off the twins, two of the main enemies in the game, and ending off the father, yet again, the same dude from Far Cry 5. Yes, it's the same guy. The only things on the checklist were completing all of the Outpost-related trophies, hunting all animals, and a few miscellaneous trophies along the way. So let's get started going down the list. I completed all of the outposts on the hardest difficulty. It wasn't too bad. When I was going for the last hunting trophy, it glitched for me, so instead of having to have hunted all animals at some point in the game, I had to have every type of animal in my inventory at the same time for it to work. Other than that, I figured it out pretty quickly and got the trophy. I'm not sure why I hadn't come across any oil trucks in the game up until this point, but after exploring the map for about an hour, I found one and brought it back to one of my liberated outposts for a trophy. I sadly had to go back to expeditions again for another trophy, and it sucked. I had to complete every expedition on the hardest difficulty, and I did it for a total of like 5 hours. It wasn't fun to do, and I hope the other Far Cries aren't like this. The last trophy of the game was probably the hardest, where I had to liberate an outpost on the hardest difficulty, all while in stealth. I was just kidding. This wasn't hard at all, and I put this off into the very end so I had something easy to do. With that being done, the platinum popped right after that. Overall, I didn't hate Far Cry New Dawn. The only thing that sucked was the expeditions and the storyline. If you do, however, want to go for this platinum yourself, do not let what I just said deter you from going for this platinum, because there were many more things that were good with this than bad. I might rate all of the Far Cry games at the very end of the series, but I'll save that for another day. I'm excited for the next Far Cry game to come. Stay tuned for that one, and subscribe, like, and comment your ideas for the channel if you have any. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.